So this week, let's just do a very quick update on what's going on in the Yardstead. Last time we took a look was just a few weeks ago, and I was repairing this grow bed and getting it ready, and I am happy to say the repair went well. Now, first of all, you'll notice I have hoses going into these. Those are connected to my rain barrels so that I can just conserve all that water. This has been growing really well, and I've actually been eating a lot of the radishes out of here, and that's why it doesn't look that full. As far as this, I think it's lamb's quarter here, and there's a volunteer lettuce. There was a radish. I ate it. Some of this is definitely lamb's quarter, like this. I know most people consider lamb's quarter a weed. I do not. It's delicious. Some people just call it wild spinach. So some people spray that or pull it. I eat it. If you haven't had it, give it a try. It's actually extremely good and really, really healthy too. Over here I had planted beets, and I don't know why, but my beets, they come up, they grow for a couple of days, and they get the nice secondary leaves, and then they disappear. I don't know if something is eating them or what, so I'm gonna have to look into that. But this one is doing well. I've been getting a lot of food out of it, and the rain barrel gives it a nice little drink. Let's look at the next grow bed. My kale is doing really well. Today it's really windy, and that's why it looks a little bit blown over. I put a dill plug in here, thinking it was fennel, but it's not doing so well, so if I can, I might put that somewhere else. I used to have a lot of dill, and then it just sort of disappeared. It's never around when you want it, but it always shows up when you don't want it. And I ate all my dill weed, and now I have none, so I'm going to try and get it to grow back again. I'd rather have it being a little bit too omnipresent than not have it around when I need it. I had some radishes here. As you can see, I've been eating some radishes, and I've got some more that are ready to pick. This year I'm eating the greens, which I know for a lot of people that's kind of elementary, but I just started eating the greens this year, and you know what, they're really, really good. They're mild. Like, even if you don't like radishes, if you like greens, you might like radish greens. I've just been sauteing them with a little bit of stock, and you probably don't even need that. They're really good. By the way, if you're noticing these little cutouts of butterflies, what those are actually is to keep cabbage moths away. I've got them down here on the fronts of these two. Cabbage moths will lay eggs and chew on your greens, and especially kale. I've had them really destroy my kale before. They're beautiful to look at. They're those little white butterflies. They look so harmless and pretty, but their caterpillars that hatch from their eggs will just devastate your greens. I put these little pictures up because apparently they're very territorial, and if they see slightly larger cabbage moths hanging out, they'll avoid it. We'll see how that goes this year. I did that one year, and it seemed to work fairly well. It wasn't 100%, but it seemed to work. I've also got some nasturtium. Oh, there it is. I've got some nasturtiums planted. That is supposed to help keep them down because they prefer nasturtium, and if you plant them kind of near but not too close to your vegetables, they'll go for that instead of your wonderful food. Over here in the third grow bed, you can see I've got another hose going to one of my other rain barrels. The arugula is another thing I've been eating a lot of, so that's why it's a little bit decimated, but I've been eating tons of arugula here. It was one of the first things I got. I've also got some volunteer kale here, which I'm just going to let it go. There were a couple of radishes in there. I ate those gleefully. I also have a cilantro over here, which was a plug. I've been eating that. My wife has been eating that. It's going to bolt fairly soon, so I want to get as much food off of that while I can. So then I've got some radishes here. They're ready to pick, the greens and the roots. And I've got some volunteer lettuce coming up, so that'll be giving me some food really soon. So overall, as usual, the grow beds are doing really well. They're just so reliable. I'll probably be building another one really soon, and I'll make a nice comprehensive video for you about that. Let's move on to the greenhouse. I'm a little bit behind on the greenhouse, and part of that is that my outdoor spigot is leaking, so I'm waiting for the plumber. I've been waiting for actually almost 2 months for the plumber to get here to patch that up, so I'm having to fill up my watering can by hand in the kitchen and bring it out here. But I've got some plugs. I've got some tomatoes, bell pepper that has actually a little tiny baby fruit. This tomato just sprung a little flower today. I've got some basil, another tomato, and a habanero. We'll see how that goes. And the oregano and thyme have always done so well for me. I'm actually going to grow 2 of each. So I've got a couple of oreganos and a couple of thymes, and then whatever I don't eat, I'll just dry it and eat it through the cold season. But those have done very well for me in the greenhouse in years past. I've also got a shishito, and then all of these guys, I'm, for the time being, growing microgreens in these, and it's just starting to come up today. So tomorrow or the next day, and maybe a few days after, I'm going to be eating microgreens out of here. I'm looking forward to getting the hose fixed, because carrying my water out from the kitchen is a real pain in the patootie. Now let's move on out to the little micro food forest, very micro again. I've been pulling a lot of grass, and if we get a view of this, oh, by the way, that hose is going to my 3rd rain barrel, and I've been getting a good amount of water out of that. It saves me a trip to the kitchen. Anyway, you can see where I've been pulling grass out of here. It really takes over. It's a weed to me, and I've got mixed feelings about that. I feel like if I leave it in, it'll break up the very dense clay soil that I have underneath this mulch. But if I let it take over, it will do just that. It will take over. Speaking of taking over, my lemon balm is really coming up, as it always does. I love this stuff because when I'm working out here, I'll deliberately step on it, because that releases the oils, and I love the smell of the stuff. I've got some more lamb's quarter coming up here, volunteer. I did a little modification of my compost bin this spring. I put a partition. Oh, those are some plugs getting ready to plant. But anyway, as a lot of people observe, the problem with compost is that the old compost is coming ready just as the new stuff is going in, so it's kind of hard to, it's nice to keep them separate. So on the left side, you can't see it very well, but that's actually my close to ready compost, and then this side is the new stuff. Mostly coffee and coffee filters, because the city will pick up our kitchen scraps, but they don't like paper, which makes me angry. Because a lot of people weren't pulling the tape off of their cardboard boxes, so the city said, okay, no more paper of any kind. I think that's a bit draconian. Also, over here on the apple tree, let me insert a photograph real quick, because there were a lot of flowers on here just a few weeks ago, and it looked beautiful. Now those flowers are drying up. They're turning into little tiny fruits, which you can't see yet. I'm just hoping that I have enough in here that the squirrels won't eat it all. And that is also true of my peach tree. Again, I'll insert a little still shot so you can see that I've got a ton of little baby peach fruits on here, and that makes me really excited. So there are about 20-25 little fruits on this tree right now. I've heard tell that people who own peach trees actually get annoyed by the amount of fruit that they have to contend with every year. As for me, I'm looking forward to having so many peaches that it's actually irritating. And speaking of fruits, let's move over to the raspberries. This year I really thinned the raspberries aggressively, but I feel like every year I say that I thin them really aggressively, but they come back so abundantly that I can't even get in there. So in addition to really thinning aggressively this year, I also added some rope to trellis them on, and it does seem to be keeping them somewhat in control. I'm going to stick in a quick little still shot here to show you that I also do have little baby fruits on these raspberries. So I'm looking forward to a really great year. These red raspberries are the type that they grow in kind of a 3-year cycle. The first year, they're just new plants, like I think this one, and they don't do anything. But you want to save those, because that's next year's fruit, because they fruit on their second year. So the first and second year canes, those are the ones you want to keep. But the ones that are 3 years old are the ones that you need to pull out. And it looks like I missed a couple here, because the way you're supposed to be able to tell is if the cane has like a papery outer bark, that means that it's done, and you want to thin that out. This one obviously looked like it was going to be okay this year, but clearly it is not going to produce any fruit for me, so I should have picked that one back. Florocane is the name of the ones that are ready to fruit, so you want to be leaving those until they're in their third year. First and second year raspberry canes, leave them alone. Third year canes, you want to go ahead and pull out. Speaking of things to pull out, this gooseberry has been my enemy for several years. Every year I cut it down to a nub, and every year it comes back, if anything, even more aggressively. It's been said that pruning is a stimulant. When you prune a plant, it comes back even stronger, and that's been the case here. I might have to get really draconian and go down and dig to get this thing out. The fruits, they're kind of good. They're like little tiny plums. But the thorns on this plant are so insidious that it's just not worth it. They are really hard and really sharp and really long and really painful. So I just as soon get rid of this thing and let the raspberries take over. This weed tree here, I just figured out is either plum or chokecherry. So we were going to take it out, but I'm thinking that maybe we're going to let that grow for another year or two and just see what it does. I've got another one of those over here, so I'm gonna let that go and see if it produces some plums for me. That would be great. And all of this stuff is just a horrible mess, so hopefully by the time I have more to tell you, I'll have something to tell you about this mess that I haven't really gotten under control, because it's just never ending, isn't it? And that's all I have to report today. Thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you next time. Ciao.